Law of independent assortment. Law of independent assortment states that the alleles for different traits are distributed to sex cells independently to each other. Or in other words, we can say that different traits they are distributed to the sex cells independently from each other. Example would be the dihybrid cross of Mendel. In case of dihybrid cross that was performed between two true breeding plants, for example, a plant that had green pod and yellow seeds was pollinated with the plant that had yellow pod and green seeds. In this case, the traits for green pod and yellow seed they were dominant, and yellow pod color and green seed they were recessive characters. So F1 plants which were produced as a result of dihybrid cross they were all heterozygous. Here we take the example that true breed plants that have green pod shape, green color, and the seed color they are yellow, and the genotype of green pod and yellow seed is capital G and capital Y. It was cross pollinated with the plant which was producing a yellow pod color, and the seeds were of green color. So in this case, the gametes which were that was small g and small y, as a cross pollination between these two plants, all the offsprings which were produced as F1 generation, that was the F1 generation, all the plants they were producing green pod as well as yellow seeds, but they were heterozygous. So what was the ratio of F2 plants when Gregor Mendel crossed the plants of F1 generation? As a cross of F1 generation, he observed that there was a ratio of the plants that was 9, 3, 3 and 1 instead of 3 to 1. That explains that the gametes they are independently separated from each other. They were not united. They were not as a form of a bundle or in the form of a unit. They were separated from each other independently because the ratio was 9:3:3:1. Here we can understand the cross or the genotypes of F2 generation. So this is the genotype of F1 plants. Here is the genotype of F1 plants. These plants they were cross pollinated. When these plants they were cross pollinated, the ratio which was appeared as a result of F2 plants that was 9, 9, 3, 3 and 1 instead of 3 to 1. That was the result of dihybrid cross. So if we see according to modern concept is exactly like this, that genes for different traits they are present on different chromosomes, and genes they separate, or chromosomes they separate from each other independently. They are not, if there is a linkage, then the genes controlling for different traits they will inherit as a unit, otherwise they will separate from each other independently. So if we conclude the results of law of independent assortment, so law of independent assortment explains that there is a independent assortment between the gametes, between the genes or between the chromosomes, and the alleles for seed color and for seed shape they sort into the gametes independently to each other.